Hello, my friends. This is Brandon here. This is a follow-up to my intro to Blender. So if you're new to Blender, this might be a good kind of a little chat just to show you some quality of life stuff that's going to help you get the most out of Blender, kind of a next level after you've done the beginning and you kind of know how to navigate around. Here are some neat tips, tricks, and quality of life things to help you out. First of all, let's do the N key. N is a number, numeric. You'll find all this information pops up over to the side here. So if that's hidden away, you can hit N to hide it or to bring it back up. That's handy. Same thing over here with the toolbars. T to hide it or to bring it back. There's also this little chevron over there that's difficult to click on. Same thing over there. There's a tiny little chevron. All right. Next thing we can do is split the view. You might already know this, but let's do it anyway. I'm going to go right over here to where I got that little double-headed arrow, and I'll right-click, and I'll say, let's do a vertical split. A vertical split. There we go. I'll move that over there. And since we've just learned some buttons, I'm going to go ahead and hide the toolbars on that one, and I'll use that for something else in a second. I don't have a camera, so let's add a camera. We're going to hit Shift-A, which is the same thing as add. There's a little shortcut that'll help you out a lot. Add a camera, or Shift-A, and then find the camera. All right, I'll hit 7 to go to the top view, or use this little gizmo over there. Another trick, you can hit G to grab stuff, and after you've grabbed it, instead of moving it freely, you could hit one of the directions, X, Y, or Z. So I'll hit Y and pull it back. Another cool trick along that same lines is if I were to want to move something in X and Y, but not Z, Z being up and down in Blender. If I want to do that, I can hit G to grab, and then I'll hit Shift Z. That means I can move everywhere except for Z. Nice little trick. I use that one all the time. All right, next trick, I'm going to add in Shift-A, or up here and hit Add. I'll hit Shift-A, and we will add in some plane axes. And I'll hit S and to scale that up. I'm going to make this a camera target. So we can take this camera, I'll hit 7, go to the top view. I'll just grab my camera along the Y axis like I just showed you. I'm going to hit the camera, and then I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm also going to include those axes there, those arrows that I just added. What I want to do is I want to target the camera at it by going Object, we'll hit Track to Constraint in this case. So now the camera is going to look at those arrows. You see the camera moving around? And I did this little split earlier for a reason, so I can switch this one over to camera mode. We can hit 0 on our numpad, or you can change the views as we've probably seen in our previous class. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab the camera and we'll move it along the Y-axis. So we can zoom out. Another neat trick with moving things along an axis like that, you can move them along their own local axis. So like if I've moved this camera off over here and I want to move it along its own Z-axis, that would be to back up, I can hit grab, G to grab it, and then I'll hit Z, which is up and down, then I'll hit Z again. Now the camera is moving along its own local axis. See that? A lot of times that is pretty handy to be able to get things to go where you want to. Now we're going to add in a light because we don't have one. So I will Shift-A to add in a light, and I'll make it a sun. Cool thing with sun lamps, by the way, they don't actually have to point at anything. It's just kind of out there in the universe doing whatever it is that you've told it to do. And it's just going to look like it's pointing at something, but in fact, you can move it anywhere you want to in the scene, and it will still work like the sun. It's just a universal light. So now we're over here, and we're going to learn another quick shortcut. I'm going to hit Z on the keyboard for this little flyout menu, and we'll switch to rendered mode. That is a lot quicker than going up. You see in the corners here, and in this little window, it's there too, but it's a little hard to get at. You can change modes easily up here, right? But a few handy shortcuts are going to be the ones that I'm showing you right now. So we can go hit Z and get that little flyout. And I use that all the time. All the time. If I'm editing something and I would like to see the wireframe of it so I can see all the objects, I'll do that. Or just a solid to save on rendering time. But because we're using Eevee, it's really, really quick, so I can get away with that. I'm going to duplicate this light. I'm going to hit Shift-D to duplicate it. We can also, I believe it's in Object, duplicate. Yeah, there it is, right there. Every shortcut that you ever hear somebody saying to you in a Blender tutorial has actually got a drop down somewhere. It's just people who use Blender all the time get tired of repeating, go to this menu and do that. So they just learn a few shortcuts. I'm giving you a few really common ones just to kind of help get you started. But if you're ever watching a tutorial and somebody's just cuckoo for shortcuts, you know, have a little mercy on them. They just get tired of hitting the same buttons all the time. I think I'll make this a little backlight. So I'll hit the light panel down here, and I'll just reduce the strength of that one. Another cool thing we're going to do right now is over here on the collections, you can hit this little filter menu and open up all of the filter abilities that you want. In my case, I like to be able to have them to where I can either see them or not select them. And what I like to do is to separate things out onto another group for ease of organization. So I'll just add a new collection. And collection 2, I'm going to call this Lights and Cam. Cool. I'll just select all of my lights. I'm going to zoom up here. I'll also select, there it is. Also select that little camera target, and I'm going to hit M on the keyboard and move it to Lights and Cam. That little guy right there, the empty, I'm going to rename it so I stay organized. We'll rename it to Cam Target. Call it what you want to, but it's my camera target. So now the neat thing is that I can deselect that little arrow right there so that now I won't accidentally move anything here. All I can select is this globe that I'm working with, and I won't accidentally move my lights or my camera or any of that. Pretty handy. All right, let's do another trick here for you. Another trick, we're going to do Shift A to add. Remember, you can do add up here, but it's just quicker to learn a shortcut. Shift A. We're going to add another empty, and in this case, it's going to be a cube, and you can't see it, but if we hit Z, we can go to wireframe. There it is. We're going to hit S to scale it up, up, to encompass that globe. Okay. Now, because I've already deselected my lights and camera group, I won't accidentally select them. So what I can do is just draw a big selection box and grab it all. But I don't want to get the box. So let's see if I can be more careful, and I'll get inside the box. There we go. Now, the last thing I want to do is select that box. The last item is to shift, click that box, and we'll hit Object. Now we want to parent it. We will parent them to that object. What that just did for me is that now instead of having to click the globe and then click this and try to move it all, I can just click this empty right there, and I can move it all together with a little bit of parenting, all right? So there are a few quality of life tips and tricks for you to help get you started. Anything else? Got questions? Let me know. I'll try to answer. And otherwise, the internet is your best friend out there. I hope you have a really great day.